All right, so you're ready to sell on Amazon. You've watched the YouTube videos. You've seen people tell you you can make lots of money on Amazon. You know somebody who makes a lot of money on Amazon. Maybe you've done a lot of research and you've picked out some products that you want to try to sell on Amazon, or you're thinking about drop shipping, all kinds of options there. But have you ever stopped to think, is Amazon the right platform for you? Hi, I'm George Oliver, the Modern Merchant, and I have been selling on e-commerce platforms for over 18 years. And every single platform is different. Amazon, they're the top of the top. They're what everyone wants to sell on. And in this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of selling on Amazon. And hopefully it'll help you determine, is it the right platform for you? Okay? So before we get into the pros and cons, let's talk about some of the things you can sell on Amazon. All right, so the first one on my list is you can sell used items such as books, DVDs, CDs, VHS tapes, textbooks, and so on and so forth, media type items, okay? But there are some restrictions in there. Amazon has what's called gated categories, okay? And this is more than just in media items. This is actually all across Amazon. But how it applies to media items is that there are certain textbooks you have to have approval to sell, which means you have to have the proper documentation and paperwork from the publishers and distribution, the people who distribute those books, in order to be able to sell those. You have to be part of that distribution chain. And this applies to some CDs as well. And we'll get more into gated categories here in just a moment. You can sell vintage electronics, new electronics, and refurbished electronics. And sometimes there's some overlap between vintage and refurbished electronics. But you can't just sell refurbished electronics because you take it home, wipe the dust off of it, and slap the label refurbished on it. You actually have to have the documentation that you are approved to sell refurbished products, and that you are a certified refurbisher of that product, whether it's computers, laptops, any sort of product that has the label refurbished on it, okay? You can sell new items specifically that you own the copyright to, okay? It used to be years and years ago you could put any new item that you had up on Amazon, but now you've got to own the rights to it, or you've got to be part of the distribution chain in order to sell those new products. And that applies to a large portion of Amazon's product catalog, okay? So but the new items that you own the copyright to, this can be items that you have designed, you've had manufactured and shipped to you, okay? You have the rights and you can control the chain of distribution. So basically, in other words, you can say who can and cannot sell these items, all right? That's what that means. You can sell new items that you have been approved to sell as part of a chain of distribution. A lot of times these fall under gated categories. For example, let's talk toys. You go to Walmart and you buy a Lego set that you see greatly discounted, and you want to turn around and flip it on Amazon and try to make a quick 50 bucks on it. Well, odds are you can't do that. Used to be that you could, but not anymore. That's a gated category. Lego, Marvel, Star Wars, big name brands like that are gated, and you have to have approval from the manufacturers and the people who own the copyrights to those in order to be a part of the chain of distribution, which means that you will buy it probably wholesale from a manufacturer and then sell it with a raised price on Amazon, okay? So you can go that route, but that's going to require a lot of documentation, and everybody is going to be different in different categories. And that's not just in toys. Like I said, that's across the board on Amazon in so many categories. Those are called gated categories, okay? Another thing that you can sell is handmade items on Amazon Handmade. Now, there's less restrictions on Amazon Handmade and less hoops you have to jump through, but it can be a great place to sell your handmade goods. These could be items that are works of art that you create, things that you create upon request by a buyer, things that can be personalized, or made-to-order style items, okay? And we can do a whole nother video on Amazon Handmade, but that's just another option. You can also do print-on-demand items, such as coffee mugs, t-shirts, mouse pads, so on and so forth, okay? But again, you have to have the rights to the images that you're printing on there, or the stuff that you're printing on there has to fall in the realm of free domain, okay? So that's just a short list of some of the things that you can sell on Amazon, but there is, as I think most everyone knows, a massive list of possibilities and categories that you can sell on Amazon, because when we want to buy something, where do we go? We go to Amazon, and we just know that there's countless number of categories out there, okay? So if those are some of the things that you're wanting to sell, or you know that the things that you're wanting to sell is already on Amazon, or maybe not, maybe you just want to break out into a new category on Amazon, maybe start something brand new, a brand new catalog page, brand new type of item, whatever. There's something that every seller needs to understand before they get selling on Amazon. This is of utmost importance, okay? That every seller needs to know that it is the seller's responsibility to both learn and know what you can and cannot sell on Amazon. And you need to know Amazon's rules and regulations to a T. Amazon does not accept ignorance of their rules as an excuse when you mess up. All right? I've seen so many sellers who think that just because they have an item, that they have the right to sell it on Amazon. Now, you have the right to sell that item if you possess it, but that doesn't mean you have the right to sell that item on Amazon. It's their playground. It's their set of rules. If we want to sell on Amazon, we have to follow their rules, or we go to a different playground. There are other places that you can take items to sell, such as eBay, Etsy, that's just to name a few, Poshmark, all kinds of other places out there. All right, you can find tons of e-commerce sites. Sellers that do not understand this will quickly find that their accounts have been deactivated or shut down, and their funds will be held. That's because they're trying to sell something that they do not own the rights to. All right. So just because you have something and you see that little button that says sell like it or sell one like this, doesn't mean you can click it and list it. Amazon will let you actually list it. They won't stop you from doing that, but their system will find out that you don't have the rights to sell it, and they'll come and shut you down and deactivate you. Or somebody from the company that owns the rights will say, hey, you don't have the right. You need to remove this, or else we're going to file a complaint. And a lot of sellers lose a lot of money because they don't understand that, okay? So that's very important for anybody who wants to step into the realm of selling on Amazon, all right? Okay, so let's move on. Some of the pros, the reasons that I choose to sell on Amazon, all right? Here we go. So number one is almost everybody uses Amazon. There is a huge amount of traffic that comes through Amazon every single day. Years ago, there was a study that showed that at least a third of the United States internet traffic daily went through Amazon. That was years ago. I would say that number is up, probably closer to 50%, if not more. So the opportunity to have a ton of buyers come across your listings is tremendous. And if you do things right, you can make some good sales on Amazon. All right, so everyone shops on Amazon. When you want something, what's the first thing you think to do? Well, I'm going to look on Amazon and see what the price is. And maybe you compare it to other places, but you go to Amazon. Usually the first thing you do. Maybe not, maybe it's the second or third, but you go there. And so do, I would say, 99% of people in America. So huge traffic. Number two, as a seller, you get multiple tiers of selling. For either you can do either a premium store or just a regular, just kind of like seller's account. One of them, the regular seller's account, allows you to sell up to 40 items a month with an extra fee on each item that's sold, but you're capped at 40. The other one charges you $40 a month, and you're not capped. You can sell as much as you want, and it actually gives you some added support. Gives you some access to metrics and so on and so forth, okay? So there are several tiers of selling on Amazon that might be useful to people, but I do the second tier where I pay $40 a month, and it's great for me because I sell a lot more than 40 items a month, and it actually winds up saving me money, gives me access to the information that I need to help run my business, okay? The third reason that I choose to sell on Amazon is fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA. That's what it is for a seller. For a buyer, it's the Prime button. If an item is sold by, it says Amazon Prime, and you get that Prime shipping, that's what it is for the buyer. On our side, it's basically FBA, which means it goes to the Amazon warehouse. They handle the products from there once I upload it on my end and ship it to them as per their instructions. They will store it, and when it is sold, they'll pack it and ship it out, and they'll handle all the customer support for you, deal with any returns that need to be dealt with, and so on and so forth. All you have to do as the seller is make sure you have inventory coming into the Amazon warehouses. Okay? Now, I have done that in the past. I am currently not doing that right now, but it has been lucrative for me in the past. Okay? So that is one of the reasons why I in the past chose to sell on Amazon. Now, you have to also understand that this service does not come without its costs. You're going to pay much larger fees, and you're going to wind up making a 70-30 split or roundabout 70-30 split in Amazon's favor. They're going to get about 70% of the profits with all their fees, the storage and all that, and you're going to make about 30%. And it might be a little bit less than that. So you need to understand you're going to make less, but it's less work you have to do. All you have to do is make sure products are getting to Amazon's warehouse. Okay? Another reason that I love to sell on Amazon is because there's huge growth potential for a side hustle or for a full-time business. Okay? It is growing, and there's plenty of categories out there that people can sell in that are not gated. And there's just a lot of potential out there. I'm always looking for ways that I can expand either little bits or in large sections to my Amazon business. But they want sellers to come and to sell their products because they make money off of the commission fees from everything that I sell. And years ago, it was believed that 35 to 40% of Amazon's profits year in and year out came from what's called third-party sellers like myself. And so they want people to come in to sell. So there's opportunities for growth, okay? The fifth reason is you can win the buy box on Amazon. The buy box is basically when you go to Amazon and you're gonna buy something and you just see that product and you click buy it now. That's the buy box. There is a seller, whether it's Amazon, the corporation selling their goods, or an individual like myself, that receives that sale when the buy box is clicked. Now, they have an algorithm and a formula that determines which seller gets the buy box, and that changes fairly regularly. They update it and make alterations to it, so on and so forth. So if you can figure out how that works and get an understanding of it and gain the buy box on products that you have, let's say in the Amazon warehouse, you can be kind of the go-to person for that product as long as you hold the buy box. Okay, that can generate you a lot of sales. So that's another reason that I choose to sell on Amazon. The sixth reason would be brand registry. You can register your brand, which is your brand of products, such as I might get some stuff manufactured somewhere and bring it over, and I put the Modern Merchant brand on there. Now, someone else could have the exact same item that I have, but if it doesn't say Modern Merchant on it, then they can't list it against my catalog page listing because it's not exactly the same as mine, and I can control who gets to put their stuff on my catalog page. Okay, this is my brand of products. Like I said, I can control the chain of distribution for it, say who can list against my catalog page, and so on and so forth. Okay, and I'm also protected against copyright infringement and things like that, accusations that are made against me if I have the proper documentation, and I am actually an official registered brand with Amazon. All right. And one more reason that I choose to sell on Amazon, and it's really simple. This is probably actually should be the number one reason I choose to sell on Amazon, is there's a possibility of making a lot of money. If you invest the time, you educate yourself, you follow Amazon's rules, whether you agree with them or not, there is a possibility to reach a ton of buyers and make a lot of money. Amazon's a great place to do this. Okay? Now, you're going to make Amazon a lot of money too, but that's fine. They provide their services, they should get their money, but you can make a lot of money on Amazon. And over the years, it has been a full-time job for me doing e-commerce, and Amazon has been one of the major places that I've been selling on, and it has been wonderful. So those are some of the pros that I have for Amazon. There's only 7 of them, okay? Now, we're going to get into the cons, the negative parts about selling on Amazon. Why would you want to sell on Amazon after you hear all these things? Well, we'll get back to that because I actually have almost twice as many negative reasons not to sell on Amazon as I do the positive reasons to sell on Amazon. All right. So number 1, what Amazon says goes. All right. Like I said, it's their playground and you have to follow their rules, or you take your toys and go home and play somewhere else. Now, a lot of people don't like that. That can be a con or negative aspect to Amazon because the rules change fairly regularly. Another company or brand owner wants to gate their products. All of a sudden, stuff that you had in the ungated category is now gated and you've got to remove it. All right, Amazon says that you have to have certain certifications for products. Well, you've got to do it now. So you're kind of at their whim when they make changes to the rules. But there's still opportunity to make money there, okay? But that's one of the negative ones, is what Amazon says goes. You do not play by the rules. They will say, goodbye, we'll close your account. You don't get to sell here anymore, and you only get 1 account per household per lifetime. So if you mess up, you're done. But Amazon is serious about people. They want people to come and be serious about selling on Amazon. So you need to realize that. So it's their way or the highway, and they have no problem shutting you down because there's 1,000 other people right behind you that want to sell and want to follow the rules. All right. So number 2 is that Amazon has a very steep learning curve. People think it's easy. You come in and just post a product because you have it and it'll sell. No. You get yourself in a lot of trouble that way. Most sellers don't go through the Seller University. They rely on YouTube videos that tell them, hey, it's just really easy. You just post a product and boom, you're done. That's not the case. Amazon has their Seller University. I encourage every potential seller or current seller who hasn't gone through it in a while to go through the Seller University, take a look at it, learn, refresh yourself of the rules. That way you won't get in trouble, okay? Number 3, Amazon competes against their own sellers in many categories. All right, so you could be selling some generic products and they come in and they're going to start competing with you because they see profit. You're making profit. They can do that. Now, there was a lawsuit in Europe where they got in big trouble for doing that. That hasn't really been dealt with here in the States, but right now, Amazon can come in and compete with you. All right. That can be scary for some sellers who have worked hard to establish a product with good reviews. It comes up in the search results, and then all of a sudden Amazon comes in and starts competing. All right, that's something to be aware of. All right, number 4 would be there's not a lot of safety oversights on products listed. Now, I say that knowing that Amazon has implemented safety requirements over the years. But generally overall, there's not. There's a big study that was done where you found lead in school supplies that was in Amazon warehouses years ago. Okay? You can look up that news article yourself. And so a lot of people were just getting things manufactured, sent over. There's no oversight on the types of products and materials that were going into those products as they're being manufactured. Not a lot of oversight. They were coming into the country and making their way to Amazon's warehouses, and people were selling them. All right. There's big article about sellers who were selling vitamin supplements, and these vitamin supplements were tested by the FDA, and they were found to have things in it that were not good to ingest. And the FDA came in and told Amazon they had to remove all these things. They removed all those listings, and there were sellers who were getting thousands and thousands of emails from Amazon saying, we're refunding your customers over the last 10 years or 20 years, however long it was. It had been 20 years, but you get the point. All your customers, we're refunding their money, and that's coming out of your pocket. There was a lot of sellers who were freaking out because that's a big category that people were making money on. So oversight is not a really big thing. So you've got to make sure that you're doing everything right and everything's safe. Okay. So that's kind of a con that's extra work. But again, if you're willing to do it, it's a good place to sell. Number 5, people say that it's a scammer's paradise. And for a while, it really was. And some people would argue that it still is. And there's still scams out there, but there are ways that you can avoid them. There are ways that you can fight back against them. But Amazon has taken steps and continues to take steps to prevent scams, but to follow up on accounts that are known for scamming as well. Okay, and those are all other videos that we could do talking about how you can deal with scams, what Amazon's doing to deal with scam artists and thieves and so on and so forth. But some people think that there's a lot of those out there, and unfortunately there are some bad eggs out there, and so I would say that's a negative against selling on Amazon. All right. Number 6, if you mess up on Amazon, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. Okay, so if somebody makes a claim that your product is counterfeit, Amazon is going to believe their buyer, because the buyer is king on Amazon, until you can prove that your product is not counterfeit. So you have to have the right documentation to do that. So being guilty until proven innocent is against the thought process for any American. And so it's hard to swallow when that happens. It's difficult to deal with, but if you learn how to deal with it, that's not a terrible thing if you can prove your innocence. But just the fact that Amazon looks at you as guilty until proven innocent is a very, very difficult thing, and a major negative aspect of Amazon for some people. Okay. Number 7, the title of this one, Bots Gone Wild. Amazon relies on automated programming a lot, and we call them bots. And sometimes the bots just freak out and go wild because of one change that is made. They make changes to all kinds of other things. For example, there's a famous one on the Amazon forums that Amazon instituted some changes to pesticides that were being sold, and this was based on, I think, a California law or several laws that were implemented at one time. This is specifically to pesticides that were being sold. But Amazon took down any product that either had the word pesticide in it, including books or DVDs or CDs, or anything that had like a picture of a bug on it. And I actually had several books delisted because of that, and I had to come back in and say, this is not a pesticide. I don't need to go through the I don't need to go through the pesticide certification in order to get this relisted. This is simply a book. It took some time. They realized their mistake, and I got those relisted, but they were down for several days to a week before that process got going. So sometimes the bots go wild and mistakes happen, and you find yourself having to scramble in order to get products up. And for some people, that can be a negative. Okay. Number 8 would be there's tons of gated categories. We've already talked some about gated categories, but there are tons of them now. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that you could do retail arbitrage all day long on Amazon, where you can go and buy stuff in clearance, come back and list it, brand named items, and flip it on Amazon. But now all those categories are gated, and you can't do that anymore. Okay. So you either have to follow the proper procedure to get in, or you don't sell in those categories. Let's see. Number 9 is that in Amazon's eyes, the buyer is always right. Always. If the buyer says they didn't get the product, then in Amazon's eyes, they didn't get the product. You go as far as to drive to your buyer's house, take a selfie with them holding the product, and if they come back and say they didn't get it, and that picture is fake, Amazon would believe them. It's that simple. Okay? The buyer is always right on Amazon. And that makes things difficult. That means that you might lose out on some sales from time to time, but that's just the way it is. Until that changes, that's the way it is. And that's how Amazon has built their platform, is catering to the buyer always. All right? Number 10, there are higher fees on Amazon than any other e-commerce site. And this is certainly true. The fees for selling on almost every category across the board is much, much higher. Okay, but again, the things that you get, the value you get for what you're paying seems to be pretty good too. All right, so you need to understand that the fees are going to be higher. Let's see, number 11. This is just my opinion. as a negative, but it seems like year after year sellers' freedoms begin to, not begin, but they shrink year after year. And that can be through new laws that are implemented, changes that Amazon makes, or categories that are gated. But it seems like the opportunities for sellers seems to shrink, even if it's just by a fraction of a percent. It seems like it shrinks year after year. All right. Number 12, they have 30 days returns, no questions asked. And that is on almost every single category. There are exceptions to those categories, and I'm not going to list those exceptions here, but there are a handful of exceptions. But 30-day returns, no questions asked. The buyer wants to return it, the buyer is king, then the buyer gets to return it. All right, and there's extended returns during the holidays. It usually goes from October 1st. Anything purchased between October 1st and December, the end of December, can be returned all the way up to the end of January. Okay, any of those things. So that is a point of frustration for some buyers. But if you learn how to deal with it and you're selling accurately described products, then for the most part, it's not an issue. All right, but for some people, that's a negative. And number 13 is most sellers don't get to control the catalog page that you're selling on. So other people can come in and bring competition. Now, if you're a brand, registered brand, and you own that and you get control over it, then you have some options. But for the most part, let's say you're doing media items, you don't get to control what happens to that catalog page. You can request changes to be made, you can request updates, but overall you don't get to do it. Like, let's say you make a listing on eBay, you get to put in the information that you want. All you're doing on Amazon is listing that, hey, I have one of these items and it's in this condition, good, very good, poor, whatever. Not poor, but acceptable. So for some people, that is a negative as well, okay? So those are the pros and the cons to selling on Amazon. If there's so many cons like that, you might ask, why would I sell on Amazon? Well, for the sheer fact that the huge amount of traffic that comes through Amazon and the opportunity to make money, I'm willing to put up with the negatives in order to make the money. Yeah, I have some losses on there, and you chalk those up to cost of business. You can deduct those losses from your taxes, so on and so forth. But just the fact that so many people go through Amazon and I have the opportunity to get eyes on my products and make the sales, and those sales produce income for my family, then it's worth it for me. I'm willing to go through that, okay? Despite all the cons, all right? So there you have it. Is Amazon right for you? That's something that you need to determine. Hopefully this video has given you some helpful information about some of the pros and cons and some of the things you can sell on Amazon and kind of how Amazon works as well. I've been doing this for a long time, and so I have a lot of experience, and I'm hoping to do other videos that focus on some very specific aspects of Amazon, but also other e-commerce sites as well, eBay, Poshmark, so on and so forth, okay? So what are some of your pros and cons of selling on Amazon? Drop in the comments below. If you like what you're hearing and seeing in my video, then like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And you can check out some of my other videos. I'm showing you some of the things that I'm buying and I'm selling, what I paid for it, what I think I'm going to make on it, other tips and tricks to navigating the world of e-commerce. And if you like what you hear, I also do commercial voiceover work. You can check out my demos at govoiceover.com, and you can reach out and we can talk about that if you'd like. I really appreciate you listening and watching my video. Hopefully it's been helpful to you. Have a wonderful day.